Hello and welcome back to Raised by Giants, where we talk all things spirituality. I'm Ryder Lee. Tonight we have returning guest David Lotherington. Before I introduce him, just as a reminder, make sure and subscribe to Raised by Giants on Odyssey. It's there as a backup channel, but I'm thinking about using it to post some other things deemed not appropriate for YouTube. Don't know when that's going to happen, but it's in the works. And don't forget, you can also listen to the show on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, and anywhere else you listen to podcasts, and download all of the episodes individually on Spreaker.com. The downloads go directly to your device for free. You can listen to them anytime, any place, anywhere, forever. So many options to watch and listen to the show now. So please drop a follow on any and all podcast platforms and subscribe to Odyssey too. Thank you. All the links are in the description. So the link to my interview on Spiritually Raw with Jay and April is in the description now. I thought it was going to be up or released last week, but it's up now. If you guys would like to check that out, leave a comment on that too, please, if you listen, of course. I think it's a good one. Also, next week, I won't be in the chat. I'm going on vacation to see my family, but there will still be an episode up, and it's going to be a very interesting one too, so you don't want to miss it. So without further ado, we have returning guest David Lotherington. He is a proficient psychic surgeon, channeler, Akashic records reader, philosopher, teacher, with hopes to share his knowledge with as many people as possible. Welcome, David. Thanks so much for coming back on the show. How have you been?
Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. I've been really well, and I appreciate you having me on the show.
Well, it's my pleasure. And you were on the show before, and we did more of an interview, and you did the channeling with Kyle at the end, which I think was a very underrated interview, I might add. But this time it's going to be a little different, and we're just going to kind of get right into the channeling. But if you would like more information about David with his awakening and what he does, watch that first interview with him. I think it was like 4 or 5 months ago, or visit his website. The link to that is in the description now. But before we get into the channeling, David, maybe give the viewers a bit of an idea about how you channel, what the process is like, for people that may be new to this and might not be aware of how you do it.
Sure. So what channeling is essentially I entrain my frequency. So I change my frequency to match that of the being that I'm going to channel. They match their frequency to me. And when we meet in the middle, it's a process called channeling. Since I'm an open channel, I have the ability to connect with beings that are above us dimensionally or below us. And by doing that, I can channel information and bring information that's not otherwise available. So.
Awesome. Thank you. Now, for the record, I believe David is very legitimate, and he has an amazing ability to channel and bring forward information that he couldn't possibly know. I've been working with him for almost 2 years now, and it still blows my mind. I would purposely withhold information in some of our sessions to see if it would be brought up in the channeling, and it did every time. But with that kind of being said, everyone knowing my standing on this, and that I believe that you're channeling to be very real and legitimate, others might not be won over so much. So if possible, could you maybe address some of the issues or problems I've heard people bring up about channelers? Is that okay, David? Because I think it's very important to kind of go through and hear your response, because I don't think some of these issues are kind of addressed enough.
Sure.
Thank you. So now a big one that I hear a lot of people say is that the channelers just kind of make stuff up, and that maybe you've researched the topics before and you know everything about them already, and that channelers are essentially faking or scamming people. What's your thoughts on that, David?
Well, my take is that there are scammers in every field. Doesn't really matter what field it is. There are scammers in every field. There are fake psychics. There are fake channelers. All of that is real. But there are also real channelers and real psychics and real energy healers. And my take on that is that if someone is able to tap into stuff that, like, I'll tell you, my background is I used to be a paramedic. I worked in pharmacy after that. I didn't know anything about metaphysics, the soul, consciousness, or anything about galactic beings at all before I ever started channeling. This was really sprung upon me. I never said, oh, I'm going to be a wizard or a psychic or a channeler when I was a kid. That wasn't something that I actually even thought of for one moment. But when I had my awakening, I just couldn't help myself. I just had to dig into that cookie jar and started learning about channeling and stuff like that. So to the people that don't believe in channeling, my opinion is that's okay. If you don't want to believe it, then that's fine. If you do believe it, then it will resonate with you and you'll feel it as the truth.
Thank you for that. Now, what would you say to some skeptics that claim that you could be getting hit with V2K, voice to skull technology? You know what that is, right? It's a technology that would allow for someone or something to interface with your brain through radio waves or frequencies, often resulting in people hearing voices in their head and thinking or claiming they're in communication with aliens or extraterrestrials when it's really a dude screening with you from a military base or three-letter agency. I guess my question here is how do you know where the information or messages are really coming from? And would you be able to tell a difference between an ET communication or a higher self communication or someone that's just could be possibly messing with you here on Earth?
I've never had voice to skull, so I don't know exactly what that feels like to know the difference. But what I can say is if the information is overwhelmingly positive, it helps you in your life drastically, from everything from health to consciousness to help you with your personal development and empowerment, then although I think that the voice to skull thing is probably very terrible and it doesn't serve the highest agenda of most people, but I don't think they have that kind of content when they're using that kind of tech. I think they're more self-destructive and trying to destroy people and throw them off their path rather than helping them on their path. So whatever the source of the information is, it's overwhelmingly positive, and that's been consistent over the amount of time that I've been a channeler. I've channeled galactic beings. I've channeled Cal. You've heard Cal, my higher self, and Cal has a higher self as well. So when I channel Cal, it's extremely easy. The transition is seamless virtually. But when I channel a galactic being, there's a lot more process to channeling them. It takes longer to make that connection and establish that. Each one of them feels different is the answer.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And the last but not least question, and then we'll get into the channeling. What would you say to people that always make the comment about, I hate to even bring this one up because it's pretty childish, but how you're speaking with demons and they're possessing you and you're speaking through you and you must be worshiping Satan because they don't understand what's going on and probably don't want to understand because it's of the devil.
Right.
Are we in middle school? But there always seems to be at least one person that kind of posts that kind of comment about it. Not so much from my viewers or anything, but just trying to cover all of my bases and some of the questions that I hear a lot of people bring up. So how would you combat someone that has that kind of thought process, David?
Well, first of all, I don't make much space in my life to listen to skeptics and cynics. I'm here to help people that want to receive help, who want to be helped on their path, whether they're traumatized from things that have happened in their past, or if they need help getting over a life obstacle or something in their life that they need help with, or even just unlocking some psychic stuff within them, which all humans have psychic abilities. To any religious person, I would say they're likely on the path of their awakening if they're watching a show like this. And if they are on this path, be mindful that there are many things that you're going to experience that are going to unlock your mind more and more. Some people have a dreadful hate for people that are telling the truth or doing this kind of stuff because they can do it themselves, but they hate that about themselves. Sometimes that happens with religion as well. And it's like, for example, if someone's gay, and they hate gay people because they're gay and they don't like that they are. The same kind of concept. So to anyone that is watching that might think I'm channeling demons, demons are dark as F, I'll say. They don't want anyone to do well. They want to break things down, flip things on their head, twist things and invert. You can tell the difference just by the way a being talks and the energy that they feel. So.
Thank you so much, David. I think that that was beautiful and very well said. And I don't think that I think it was important to kind of go through those, because it's not every day that people even get to talk to channelers, and not every day that those questions even get asked. So I think it was important to bring those up, and I thank you so much. And with that being said, David, let's get into this thing. And David has absolutely no idea the questions I'm going to ask or how I'm going to respond. He wasn't screened with questions whatsoever. So I thought that I would make that apparent as well. So with that being said, David, let's get into it. Sorry to keep everyone waiting, but I feel like those questions were very important to set the stage. So I am ready whenever you are, brother.
Sure. So a little bit about the being that I'm about to channel. His name is Cal. He is omniscient. He's not omnipotent, but he can do a lot, and he's omnipresent. So that means he's present in all timelines. He knows everything. And although he won't give you perfect answers to direct and asked questions, because he's not allowed, because he can disrupt time by doing that, but he can beat around the bush. So if there's something you really want to know, just ask it in a little bit of a different way, and he might be able to answer you for that. So Cal is from the 7.7 dimension on a scale of 9 that he relays to me. 9 is God, and 8 is like massive collective consciousnesses. Cal is a part of something called the Cal Force, which is, we don't usually talk too much about this with people, but Cal Force is the layer within your body that connects your soul to your chakras and your nervous system. So without the Cal Force, the soul cannot connect to the physical body, and you can't have life, essentially. So Cal is in every being that has consciousness. Anyway. So
awesome. Thank you. That's beautiful. I didn't know that, and that's great information that we all have Cal within us.
Yeah, that is true. So I'm going to start the channeling process. I'm going to train to Cal. He's going to train to myself, and whatever questions you have, we'll do our best to answer.
Awesome. Thank you, David.
All right, you're welcome. See you on the other side. Greetings. We are Cal.
Thank you so much for coming through, Cal. I appreciate you taking the time to speak with me again. It's an honor.
It is our pleasure.
So I kind of wanted to take these first questions back kind of far in the past, because I want to kind of maybe clear up some misconceptions about our past. And I feel like you're one of the best that I can talk to about this to get an accurate and kind of a detailed description. Is that okay?
Of course, and that is very kind of you. So we appreciate the gesture.
So with that being said, what would you call our planet that me and David are currently on right now? I know some have different names for it, and I just kind of want to make sure I'm speaking correctly and using the proper words. So what's the actual name of our planet? Some call it Earth, Gaia, all kinds of different names. So I'm wondering if you refer to it the same as we do, or if it's something different.
Well, Gaia is the name of the soul of the planet. However, there is a physical body associated with it as well. Each of you also have soul names, and each of you have physical names. So, well, we would say that galactics refer to our planet as Sun 3, as it is 3 planets from our solar body, which governs the rest of this the system. The light is provided by our sun and the rest of the system. But the name of the planet is Terra.
Terra, awesome. Thank you. So with the information you have, Kyle, how old is planet Terra in approximately in human years, of course?
Well, we would have to look into that. This is not a normally asked question, that is for sure.
Okay, I can. Okay.
That is fine. It is approximately 6.5 billion years from what we have seen. The planet has been created originally not for human creation. It has been through many generations of beings that have lived upon the planet and evolved and have moved on to space, bearing technology where the primary planet is not further required. So there has been many generations of organisms that have grown and developed upon this planet.
That's interesting, because that was my next question is, how long has a version of the human species been on planet Terra for those since it's been here?
Are you just referring to those who would be called human, roughly?
Yes, people, some kind of beings that kind of operate like us, like up on 2 legs, have a head, arms, and walk around like we do.
Very well. Well, the first generation was approximately 60,000 years ago to 40,000 years ago, roughly. These were known as your Atlanteans. They were the first generation of what would be called human. Although they are far different from your present form, they were more advanced in many different ways. They had greater survivability, greater knowledge, greater mental processes, and greater connection with that which you know as God, spiritual connection to the higher self. However, they had many flaws as well, and humans do have some of these flaws, but Anunnaki DNA has been perfused within this particular species, and including the Lemurian line as well. So there are several different variants of humans that were created around the same period of time, approximately within 30,000 years time span.
So who were you brought up the Anunnaki? Were the Anunnaki the first beings that came and created the human species approximately 40 to 60,000 years ago in Atlantis? Was that them?
That was them, yes. There were other species as well that were involved, but they do not want to be known at this time. Now, the Anunnaki have a part in creating many different species. They are like gardeners that move from colony to colony, planting their seeds. Some planets take the seed and the plant begins to grow because the conditions of the environment are pertinent and healthy. However, some of them do not grow, but the Anunnaki are nevertheless your creators.
So there wasn't a human species or a human hominid on the planet before the Anunnaki came and created us, because I think some people think that the Anunnaki manipulated the DNA of a certain kind of hominid that already existed on the planet. And then some people think that the Anunnaki created us from scratch. So
Oh, no. That was definitely not the case. Nearly nothing is made from scratch as far as genetics go. There is always a seed, a starting point, or some continuum that the materials of genetic composition come from. Now, the species of monkey that was taken and tampered with to create the Atlantean species is very different than that which your scientists believe you come from, such as chimpanzees or whatnot. But you mentioned earlier that the only bipedal beings have been Atlantean and Lemurian, but there was other very cognizant, intelligent individuals on the planet before the Anunnaki even came to the planet, and they were the Saurian people.
The Saurian people. How long had they been on the planet before the Anunnaki came and then created us?
They were here for a very long time before humans were even given the seed of consciousness. And they were here for well, we would say about 150 million years ago, up to perhaps 70 million years ago. They were present in numbers on the planet, but they left the planet for the most part. Some of them have subsided into the inner earth, and there are some who live amongst you and through their genetics, even to this very day.
It's very interesting. So, what made them different than what we are now? Did they look different? Did they act different? Like what separated them from the what the Anunnaki created in us in the way that they were?
Well, for everyone who is watching who is not familiar with the Anunnaki species, they are a reptilian species. Now, humans do have quite a bit of reptilian genetics held within their system. However, the Anunnaki are not just reptilian. They are a composition of different beings emulsified together to create one hyper intelligent conscious being, one that is able to do a great many things. And one of them is the manipulation of clouds of consciousness, which allows them to control masses of individuals, namely the humans of Earth. So now your question, we hope that you can ask it again so we can answer it more appropriately.
I was just wondering what the beings that were here before the Anunnaki came and created us, what separated them from us? Like, was it just their mannerisms and the way that they looked, or was there what was the defining features that would make them different than the way that we are?
Well, it is understood that they are a completely different species from yourself. They evolved naturally from a species named Trodon Frosimus. This Trodon evolved eventually, creating family groups and packs. It is also known as the wounding tooth, we believe. And they are reptiles, whereas you are a human with very little reptilian genetics relative to your overall composition. So they have space technology and they have left the planet.
Okay, so they would be more reptilian in nature, meaning that they wouldn't even look like what we would call a human being now.
Oh, well, actually, their evolutionary path has led them in a build, we would say, that makes them look much more humanoid, and in comparison to how they looked at as the original Trudon. However, yes, they have great many abilities, and shapeshifting is one of them. And they can holographically change their image and shape and size to look like a human if they wish. And if your mind is not well trained, then you will not be able to see such past this deception. So they can look like humans, but they often do not look like human in their regular life when they are not around people.
So you would call them the first kind of beings that were on the planet, right? They would be the very first, or were there beings even before them?
There were beings before them as well, but that is going back for a long time now, and not many people know about that information.
Awesome, thank you. So, who or what created our current incarnation that we are right now, or did we kind of just evolve into the current form from the Anunnaki creation, or are we the exact same way or the same being that we were 40 to 50 or 60,000 years ago whenever the Anunnaki came and first created us?
Well, first of all, we would like to say that evolution takes a long, long time to occur, naturally. 60,000 years is nothing in the span of several 100 million years, which was required to evolve the Saurian people. But, however, in that 60,000 years, there has been several different generations of human. The Atlantean was a generation. The ancient Egyptian was a generation. The Lemurian was a generation. And there have been several subsequent generations from Neanderthal to Australopithecus and Africanopithecus, beings of this nature, who have been removed from the planet's surface to make space for other individuals who wish to incarnate or be created upon the planet. And one of those is the human. Approximately 12,650 years approximately ago, the creation of your species began. And with this creation, it was greatly accelerated. There is a reason why your reproduction cycles are dialed up. That is to assist with the progression of the soul and the connection to the mind of the soul. Without the connection to the mind, to the soul from the mind and through other components, we would say, humans are not able to access new information. So it is important to be able to have that connection with the soul, because that is where new information is created from. Like your Elon Musk, for example. He is one who has great connection, and therefore he is bombarded essentially, and he is a man of means as well and capability. And we would say that he is a very respectful being, but regardless, he is constantly being given information by beings that are above, and they are helping him help us in different ways.
So whenever, because it seems like a lot of the human beings on the planet and the current history of the planet seem to think that it was only like 4,000 or 5,000 years ago or so that we were basically cavemen in a cave working with rocks and sticks and doing all of these things. So how and why do you think that we have come to believe that it was just that long ago that we didn't have any of this advanced technology? Because the way that you explained it was 50 to 60,000 years ago that we were basically in Atlantis. So I guess my question is how did the fall of Atlantis actually happen? Because it sounds like there had to be a huge cataclysm or something happened to set us back on a timeline. Does that make any sense?
It does, but the question is flawed, and here is why. Because the Atlantean people, that is not the real name, but we will call them that for now. They were a different generation. Understand that when one is creating multiple groups of species, you want to see, are they going to be viable? Especially when considering genetic stock for the universe. Some genetic stock is created as a labor force. Some of it is created as a warrior class, or perhaps a class that is designed for galactic trading and communication between all species. Humans are, we should address your question first before we get into your current generation, but we would say the Atlanteans are not the same as humans. They were known as humans at the time, but their generation is long off of the planet or within the planet. They have been around for about 35 years or 1,000 years rather, and they live for an extremely long time. Their lifespan can span up to even 25,000 years, some of them. So many of them have left the planet, and for good reason, because what they have done is a tragedy to much of the planet. It has caused much corruption on the planet. We are getting into energetics, but we would say the corruption of the planet had to be cleansed. And in its cleansing, the planet essentially terraformed itself in a way. And that resulted in mass devastation of the planet at the time.
And would you say that that set us back onto a different a trajectory, them leaving, and then this terraforming happening on the planet? Do you think that that was a positive thing or a negative thing? Because the way that I think of it is, if we would have continued from, Atlantis and Lemuria, we would be intergalactic civilization, and not just the secret part of it with the secret space program and all that. I mean, like everyone, normal people, like just the everyday public people, we would be intergalactically traveling, and we would be able to go around to everywhere, right? If that timeline could have kept going. So do you see that as a kind of like a reset? That would be like a reset, right? Like, they resetted the timeline. I don't know if I'm making any sense here.
It makes perfect sense, but what we see is you believe that you are the Atlantean lineage, which has been degenerated. It would have to be. Evolution does not work in that way, not normally. Normally, a being becomes more and more advanced, not less and less. So the reason for that is because you are a new generation. You are a new species altogether, who was created approximately 12,650 years roughly ago. So that was your beginning.
So what would you call this new generation of human beings that we currently are now? I mean, we look at ourselves as, human beings or Homo sapiens. What is the word or the terminology that you would call our current generation of humans?
We would call you Terrans. We believe that is the most appropriate term, since you are born from Terra, or Sun 3.
So do you think that a lot of us existed back during the time of Atlantis? Like, did we have past incarnations back in Atlantis, and did we experience those lifetimes? Because I've heard people recalling times of Atlantis and Lemuria, and doing experiments and science, and the beautiful way that it was, and there was kind of like a golden era or a golden age of humanity. Do you think it's possible that a lot of us lived back then, even though we're in a new generation of human beings on the planet?
Oh, yes. Many of you have been many different species across the galaxy, and the galaxies relative to them as well. You have been everywhere. You are everything. And because of that, we will make it as grounded as possible, our lesson for today. But we would say that you have been here and you have done that. Reincarnation is a natural progression of development as a soul. And by the development of the soul, one will eventually learn lessons from 1 through 99 until repeating the process again.
So why is it, Kyle, that we don't have our memories of those past lives and past incarnation? We seem to be a planet of complete mystery, right? Our very existence is a mystery. We don't know who or what we are, or what we're doing here, or where we're from. What would be the reason for imposing such restrictions upon the Terran people?
Well, the mystery essentially comes from being created. That solves your mystery right there. But there are many records of your creation that are in libraries that are very well protected and privately owned. But your generation of human is only confused because you do not know where you come from. if you knew where you came from, the population would surely be relieved. However, there would be much of the population that would be mentally destroyed by such a concept, and those that are of the religious connotation, we would say. So we hope that addresses your question sufficiently.
I mean, the only way I can kind of wrap my mind around this is that that we're kind of a quarantined planet, right? And by quarantine, I don't mean that we can't get off the planet, but meaning that we're kind of stuck in a loop, right? And we're brought back each time, right? And essentially recycled back and put into a new body without any memories because they're wiped. And I think that's why there's so much control over the planet, because they have each of us set up every time from the beginning. And it's very easy to control the population when we don't know who or what we are or where we're from or what we're even doing here.
Yes.
And everything we know is told to us from someone else, keeping us constantly looking outside of ourselves for answers to our problems, and that's where religion and a lot of these things come in, is in developing a sort of a savior type complex. I don't think a lot of these things would be needed in this construct that we're currently in, that's locking us into this physical reality, would even work if we knew a lot of the questions to some of the very simple answers that we should have.
Yes, we would say it is a part of the first, second, and third density experience to not remember previous lives. However, there are higher dimensional humans. We would say the dimension of the soul is higher than the 3D, not the physical body. Everyone on Earth is 3D. However, there are special groups and things that have that are fourth dimensional, but they often work outside of your plane of experience. However, in the fourth density, many individuals remember their past or perhaps several lives that will be beneficial to them in this life. But if you remembered all of your previous lives that you've ever had, which all occur simultaneously, then your mind would essentially explode. The human mind is a linear thing, and it processes information in a linear way, not a quantum way. And because it is not quantum, it cannot accept quantum information. That is one of the issues. However, when your soul is more advanced, you can tap into fifth, sixth, we are 7.7 dimensional consciousness. And when you can tap into that, you begin to tap into the quantum essence of your complexion, of your ability to accept information from higher dimensional realities, such as fourth, fifth, sixth, and the rare few who reach seventh dimension. And you are able to integrate that information down through the subsequent planes of experience, down into your third density body and integrate it by your brain. When this occurs, you are able to remember some of your past lives, or perhaps some things that you have done or things that you will do in the future, which is called precognition. Now, there is many different things that you will experience as you have your awakening process. And each of these is a very wonderful experience to have.
Yeah, so thank you for that, Kyle. I really appreciate that. So how do we expand past this amnesia point of view? Because that's my only issue and my only problem, right? With this whole concept of reincarnation and amnesia, right? Is that there seems to be very little expansion within it, right? And if you're just coming back and mainly reliving the stuff from the past, often just repeating the same outcomes over and over again, what is the point of that? And where is the expansion within it? Because I'm about expanding, your thoughts and expanding your consciousness. And I understand that it would be very difficult for anyone to be able to handle all of the past lives that we've had, but we should at least come in with the last past life that we had, so that we're not easily manipulated, and because that's where a lot of this manipulation and why things are so screwed up on the planet, Kyle, is because we don't have any of that information. We think that this is our only life and this is it, and when we die, this is it. That's how a lot of people think on planet Earth right now.
Yes, that is very unfortunate. But however, there are individuals who have taken the path of ascension, that path which you walk yourself. It is the path of learning about oneself, to find, who am I? What am I like? Why do I act the way that I do in the situations that I do? This is the act of enlightenment. Enlightenment, we will break that down further, becoming more light, which is remembering yourself as a higher consciousness than you actually are, because you are just as present in the fourth dimension as you are in the fifth, as you are in the third. As you experience all of these realities at the same time, in the now, you, from time to time, as you receive energy healing, as you do self-development, and you begin to meditate to calm the mind, so that your subconscious mind is not processing things of everyday grueling tasks and things of this nature. You then create a space for your guides and your beings that are assisting you on your journey to come through and assist you with the progression of your remembrance of who you truly are. At that point, you will begin to remember memories of higher dimensional components of yourself, which you have experienced. And through these moments, you will grow and you will expand, and you will continue to heal yourself, we hope, whether it is through Reiki or psychic surgery or some other method of healing yourself. Even yoga and things can be beneficial if you focus on the spiritual development of it. And you will begin to grow further and further. As you begin to enlighten yourself or become lighter, you will begin to have more psychic abilities. And as long as you use your abilities for that which is good in the world, whether it be to share information with the common folk or the non-common folk, we should say, who are probably likely watching this program, or those individuals who are doing epic quests, we would say, you will receive rewards from using your abilities for that which serves the greatest good. And these may be more abilities. They may be more refined abilities. They may be the next puzzle piece that you have been looking for some time in your life.
Thank you, Kyle. Is there an oversoul component kind of involved in this process too? Because
oh yes,
I've long been under the impression and felt like that I'm, kind of part of a soul group, and my soul's been fractured out many times and live in many existences all at once, or even offset by however long. But that my soul group, which is actually all me, their journey is kind of over, and they're kind of waiting on me to get done with this incarnation so that we can kind of all come together and move on, right? And they're dependent upon me escaping and figuring out who I am so that I can merge back with them, and that I don't get trapped in this recycling that's been going on the planet. Does that make any sense?
Oh yes. They are not waiting though. They are living their lives as fully as possible. But we would say the best way that you can empower yourself, to uplift yourself and help yourself to ascend, would be to do healing on yourself. This is there are several different types of healing. You can heal the physical body, which will help you. You can heal the trauma that you have from your past. That will help you. It will allow you to face yourself when you are in a room by yourself, so that you're not required to escape. We would say by television, drugs, or any other addiction that you may choose. And then there is the way to heal the consciousness, and that is a more quantum form of healing. But that is something that you will likely do down the road a little bit more. So when you encompass healing in its greatest regard, you become more complete. You become more sovereign. And as a sovereign individual, you are honest with yourself. You begin to understand that you are responsible for taking responsibility of your life. And rather than waiting for other people to make the change for you, you begin to make the change yourself. Like the creation of this program, for example. That is initiative, that is responsibility, and it is a task that not many individuals will do because they are waiting for someone else to make the decision for them, to tell them what to do or to be their savior. So we congratulate you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Kyle. So does everyone have this kind of this oversoul system? Could you explain maybe a little bit about how the oversoul works, if it's like a soul fracturing and we're out here like we have one singular soul, and then that soul is split into many souls, and we're out here living many existences all at once? Is that sort of like what it is, or is it different?
This is something that's very complicated because it is quantum, but we will do what we can to break it down in a linear process so that is more tangible for your mind. You are experiencing a third dimensional life at this time, all of you who are listening. But there are two-dimensional yous that experience life, not just on this planet, but on many other planets and many other areas of space. So we would say, this is not an accurate number, firstly, but we would say 1 3D rider Lee may be equivalent to 200 two-dimensional rider Lees. Now, these two-dimensional rider Lees may be insects. They may be dogs or cats or birds or snakes. They may be other planetary animals. They may be plants as well. There is many different experiences in the two-dimensional that you can experience and that you are experiencing at this very moment. In the first dimension, however, there are even further divisions of the same soul. So if you have 200 rider Lees in the second dimension, you may have a 4,000 in the first dimension. And this would be experiences that are more basic. Perhaps you are an element or a rock, or perhaps you are a blade of grass growing, or perhaps you are some sort of bacterium or virus. That is the experience of incarnation. Now, if you are to go up in dimension rather than down, 1 rider Lee in third density, there may be, remember, there is you in the fourth density as well. And 1 fourth dimensional rider Lee may be equivalent to 13 3D rider Lees, which would mean that you have 13 aspects of your soul in this third dimensional reality. So there are 13 individuals who would be in your first tier of your soul family. And these individuals will strongly resonate with you. You will feel they are a part of you. You will feel extremely comfortable when you are around these individuals, and they will help you sometimes throughout your life, depending on your life path.
So in other words, the oversoul connection is basically how we are a part of everything, right? Like how we are a part of every part of our reality, right? Because I think that we are multi-dimensional spirit beings, right? And I don't think a lot of people understand what multi-dimensional spirit beings actually means. And I think that it means that it's exactly like what you just said, Kyle, that we're existing in every level of reality possible, right? And we are everyone and everything. Yeah.
Yes.
Am I kind of correct in saying that?
Yes, you are correct. And there are several oversouls. One might think that you have just one. That is a linear way to think. But there is a fourth dimensional oversoul, a fifth dimensional oversoul, a sixth dimensional oversoul, and etc., all the way up to the very top, when there is only one dividing itself further down. So we would say that what you know as God is one consciousness. It then divides itself by a particular number. That creates beings in the 8.9th dimension. They divide themselves, creating the 8.8th dimension. And the division continues further and further down. However, at the very top in the 9th dimension, where we would place God with a capital G-O-D, that is one individual, which you said fractured, we believe, but divides itself, is a voluntary process, where fracture is not voluntary, most likely.
So you would explain God as like a being then. Is he a being or is he a consciousness? Is he I mean, you also said that he's an oversoul, right? So
Yes.
that's how you would describe God as like as an oversoul at the top in the 10th dimension.
In the 9th, yes.
In the
It
9th.
is a collective, it is one consciousness, essentially, but it contains all of the consciousnesses of all existence in this matrix.
Wow. Yeah. The really the only way that I can kind of make sense of this in my mind is that our experiences from each incarnation on earth are saved within like it's all categorized and saved in like an oversoul system, right? And so that whenever we merge back with our oversoul or our soul family, I'm sure people call it different things, we can kind of collect all the experiences that we've had and take them with us whenever we move on, because like you said, we can't have all of those memories and all of those past experiences flooding in as the physical being that we are. But whenever we're outside of this physical avatar, it would make sense that we would be more quantum and be able to take on more information all at one time. That close to being correct?
Yes, it is close. We would say that is a very good summation. However, we would add to that, saying that the Akashic records are the information and of all the information that is meant to be known, minus the information from the divine realm, that is separate. The Book of Shadows contains the information of all that is not meant to be known and things that will not occur. That is more difficult and pointless information, in our opinion, to look upon as a human. And when you continue to grow and develop as a living being, after disincarnation or leaving your body, after your soul becomes a spirit, what happens is you begin to remember who you are. You begin to not be affected by what you call time. And you begin to move forward with the understanding of all of this stuff that Cal is referring to at this time. And when that happens, you can see things for the beauty that it truly is. It is like a blooming flower, if you see it from our perspective. And in this bloom, there are many beautiful things, fragrances, and experiences to occur. When you see that beauty, you say, maybe I will just have one more life. And that continues to occur from time to time.
So it's from your understanding and your perception that we make the conscious choice and the conscious decision to come back and incarnate back on Earth.
As much as many people would say that is definitely not the case, we would say it is definitely the case.
That's interesting. Thank you. So you brought up Ascension in there, and I think that you probably explained it, what ascension actually means, because I think a lot of people have kind of misinterpreted what ascension actually is. So is there could you maybe describe and give a definition of what ascension means and how we would go through the process of ascension, because some people believe that there's going to be a physical ascension, which, I mean, there
Ah,
could possibly be, I don't know, but I think that it's more of an after death ascension. I'd like to get your thoughts on what ascension is.
this again is a quantum process, therefore it may take us several hundred hours to explain it fully. However, we will do as best we can in a linear way to express what ascension is. And then we will address moving physically from 3D to 4D or 5D Earth, which is a great common misconception. So firstly, we would say, what is ascension? Ascension is becoming sovereign. It is taking responsibility for yourself, your I apologize, your actions and that which you do in your everyday life. Do you choose to be hurtful to someone in your actions, or do you choose to do good upon people in your everyday life? Do you choose to get revenge if you are hurt, or can you look past this and look beyond to that which is greater than toiling with someone else in a feud? These are traits of characteristics of individuals who are going through the ascension process. They will likely become more conscious, and therefore they'll be able to break out of the mainstream collective consciousness of materialism and being interested in having a large house and granite countertop and things of this nature. So with that in mind, they will likely, as more conscious beings, they will begin their own businesses. They will start to provide things to the rest of the collective rather than taking from the rest of the collective. They will begin to provide. Now, ascension essentially means you are going up in vibration. That is what it is meaning. But you are also gathering more light. You are showing more of your light, we would say, rather. And as you show more of your light, you will shine brighter and brighter. However, as a consequence to this, you may be challenged by greater and greater beings that wish you to not shine so brightly. They want to ensure that you do not get as bright as possible. And that is what you may call demons or darker entities. These things do not want the light to shine bright, because if it does, well, they are attracted to it and they love it so much that they want to get healing from that light. And because they see you as a healer as you are, and they need healing because they are damaged beings. They want to be reunited, but they are not. So essentially that is ascension in a nutshell. But what steps can someone do to become ascended? It is not the path of everyone listening to want to achieve that. It is only in some people's life's paths to want to achieve ascension in that life. However, each of you will grow in some way, shape, or form, unless you find yourself stagnating. If you are stagnant, it is because you are not doing what is on your life path to achieve. You will become depressed. You will become anxious because you are not doing what you are desiring. You are not doing what you're here to achieve. The lessons that you require to accomplish to achieve your mission, you are not accomplishing, and therefore you will become depressed. So begin by looking inside yourself, whether it be through meditation or self-introspection. Through these processes, you will begin to understand yourself at a greater capacity. And once doing so, you will be able to hopefully find out what you're passionate about and what makes you excited and happy. And once you find this, this will be your life path. Your life will begin to become easier and easier as you begin to do what makes you happy more and more of the time, until you eventually find yourself in what the Bible calls heaven. That is it is not full of angels like you might think, and hell is not full of demons, but a life of turmoil that you are living in this life can be considered hell. If you are surrounded by people that love you, but you don't love them back, if you are hopeless and you give away all of your power to everyone, if you are caught in a trap and you give away all of your ability to accomplish tasks, then you may be in hell. However, if you take the opposite path and you empower yourself and others around you, they love you because you have helped and assisted them and guided them towards the course that is the truth and that which is the light, then you may find yourself amongst those in heaven, or at least what you may perceive heaven to be.
Thank you so much, Kyle. That was beautiful. I have maybe a couple of more questions, maybe like 10 or 15 minutes longer. I was just kind of checking in to see if David is okay energy-wise to keep going on. If not, I can cut it short.
Well, energetically, we are just fine, but it seems that we should hydrate.
Okay.
Let us just grab some. We will open our eye for a moment. Very well. Very well. You may continue with your questions.
So I had a spiritual download around a week back, and it encompassed a lot of different things: AI, timelines, consciousness transfer, and things of that nature. So my next question, and I know David kind of likes to jump in and sometimes put a little positive twist on things, and I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but I think when people are given the wholehearted truth and real reality of a situation, they can and will overcome it. No matter how difficult and how hard it might be to hear. When nothing is held back, we can actually ascend past it, and we can leapfrog over it and make the right decision and go forward to the next trajectory in the most positive way possible. So here it is, and here's my question. So are we as a collective on Earth right now in this very moment on the most positive timeline possible?
That is a very good question. And the answer is each of you has your own individual path. If you are watching this program, then it is likely that you are on this path. Otherwise, you would be in a reality where you are listening to a less educational podcast or perhaps program on the YouTube. But what we would say is that there are many other things that one can be listening to in their life, but you chose to find this program. And this hopefully will be the seed that is planted in your mind to help you to grow, to help you on your ascension process, and help you to understand that there is more to life than just this everyday mundane society and collective understandings of what life is in the physical.
So if we are indeed on the most positive, because like you said, there's multiple different, there's individual timelines and then there's collective timelines. And it really doesn't seem like, Kyle, which again, I only have the perspective of where I am currently on the planet as I am in this avatar, right? I don't have, I mean, I probably do have the perspective of other dimensions and other realities, but I haven't been able to tap into them like David has and other things. But it seems like we have been getting hit with psychological operations constantly, getting everyone divided, fighting each other, negativity, fear, anger, and hate has been running rampant 24/7, and we haven't had a win for humanity, Kyle, and we need a win. We desperately need something and something big. And quite frankly, we need it now. And of course, we can individually change our reality. And I think that we have been individually liberated, right? But that only works so far when it seems we are judged by the collective consciousness on the planet. It's like if a group of people are on a boat and one guy in his cabin starts smashing through the floor of the boat and water starts flooding in, and the guy starts to argue, well, it's my cabin, so I can do what I want. Why should it matter? Well, I mean, it matters because we're all on the same boat.
That is a great analogy. And did you finish your question?
Yeah, it was just that, are we collectively here on Earth at this time? When are we going to get our win? When are we going to, when is something going to happen that where we can walk out our door and go to the grocery store or look at our neighbors and just smile and nod, and they know exactly what we're talking about, because it seems like it's just nothing but, because it's been done the opposite way so much forever, for a really long time. It's just been nothing but negativity and division and fear that's constantly perpetuating this cycle. So I'm just wondering if we are going to get the opposite of that. Are we going to get that big thing that happens where everyone's like, heck yeah, man, we did it,
Yes. Your development is not an elevator. It is a staircase. And because it is a staircase, there are steps that you must take in order to achieve the elevation which you are seeking in mindset, in consciousness, and in your development. We would say, to address what you are saying regarding all of these negative things occurring around in your life that are rampant. But we would also say it is rampant for children to be happy and excited and playful. It depends on where your perspective lies. Do you dwell on that which is more negative, or do you dwell on that which is more positive? This is a perspective, and it is relative whether you are optimistic or pessimistic in your perspective of life. But we will say that on your podcast, you are taking the steps to develop yourself. You are helping others by raising awareness of particular matters, things, and we would say things that are occurring in your everyday life and the life of many around you. Many will resonate with you and with your program, so they will continue with you on your path. These are likely individuals who are close to you in soul family. They wish to support you as they respect you and see what you are, and they see you as you, they believe that you speak the truth, because that resonates greatly with them. But for each of you, as you continue up the staircase of your own empowerment, in your own path of enlightenment, if you wish, you will begin to see life from a higher perspective with each step that you take up this staircase. And as you continue upward on this staircase, eventually you are able to look down and see all the other individuals who are on lower stairs of the staircase. And you can see them for the turmoil that they are in. But you understand that they will overcome these lessons that they are having trouble with, and eventually they will make it to the next staircase. This is the process of life and enlightenment. You will eventually get to the point which you are looking for. And when you are at the top of your staircase, you will look down and say, here is what I have learned. This is how you can grow. But the people at the bottom of the staircase will not listen, because they know that there are other things that they are occupied with. But perhaps the people that are halfway up the staircase might listen and higher. But the people at the bottom have their own turmoils to listen to. And that is why the ears of many people who are listening to this podcast will not hear and resonate with this message as you say it should be heard or resonated by. So that is dependent on the individual who is listening to the progression of this message.
Thank you, Kyle. I appreciate you. So for my last question before I let you go, because I'm sure David's kind of running a little low right here, right now. Is there any advice that you can give people now currently that can help them in this journey? Because it seems like in our current state of affairs, the fakeness and illusion has been propped up and perpetuated for so long that the truth seems to literally scare people. So
Yeah.
maybe something normal, everyday people can kind of do on an individual level to make this transition not so difficult for not only them but other people around them.
Well, we would say the best way to go about making your life better is by taking back your power in different ways. You may do this by creating a garden and consuming produce rather than purchasing it from a grocery store. You may take back your power by purchasing an electric vehicle, so you never have to purchase petroleum again, or gas rather. You may have an electric house with a solar panel array, so that you're not required by the electrical grid to have electricity to cook your food. Or perhaps you wish to have a well or gather water, so you're not reliant on the city to provide you with water. A long time ago, people that were known as peasants, everyone had a garden, but that has changed. And people were very sovereign. Now they are very dependent. It is within the human nature to be independent, but you have been guided and swayed in a way that is not beneficial to your development, unfortunately, by your schooling system and the system of conditioning which you are held within. So we would say, in order to become more happy, in order to help your neighbors, become an example by taking back as much power as possible, so that it would help and be beneficial to not just yourself, but subsequent generations who have seen you succeed in your personal growth.
Thank you so much, Kyle, for coming through. It was an honor and a pleasure chatting with you and coming on my program and talking with my audience. It's really been great, and thank you for sharing your knowledge and wisdom. And I look forward to chatting with you again sometime in the future if you're up for it.
Yes, we have already seen it. It will be done.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
You are very welcome. We will return the channel promptly. It has been a pleasure, everyone. Do you mind if we have a closing message?
Go ahead. Yes.
For everyone who is listening, we want you to know that you are loved. We are here to support you if you need assistance in anything. You may speak to Cal or the channel, and we will do as best we can to provide you with nourishment for your soul and your heart. We understand that many of you may feel empty. You may feel depressed, and there are things in life that give you good reason to be these things. But you are a sovereign being, and it is your responsibility to accept that and take sovereignty into your own hands, so that you are not at the whims of someone else who does not have your highest interest in mind. So we will leave you with this message. We love you all, and we will see you when we see you. Goodbye for now. We are Cal.
Welcome back, my friend.
Thank you.
That was amazing, David. Thank you so much for coming on and letting Kyle come through and channeling for us. I think that was some amazing information, and I hope people really resonate with that, because I was basically giddy the entire time. How was it for you?
Oh, for me, it was just, I don't even know what time it is now, to be honest. For me, it was just a quick moment.
Well, thank you so much, David. I had a great time, rocked my world, and hopefully it rocked others' worlds too.
I love it. I appreciate it. And thank you for having me on the program. I really appreciate it.
So where can people find you if they would like to book a channeling session with you, or check out more about what you do?
Sure. Well, I do more than channeling. I'm a psychic surgeon by profession, and I do Akashic Records readings, and I help people with those fractured parts of their soul and bring them back together, which is healing altars and things like that. Anyway, my website is www.davidlotherington.com. And if you have any questions, you can always send me an email at davidlotherington@hotmail.com.
Thank you so much, David. All the links to David's info will be in the description of this video. I really implore somebody, if you're feeling called to David, just send him an email. He's amazing and very, very talented and skilled at what he does. So click the link in the description and check out his information and check out his website. And for everyone else, thanks for watching and listening. Much love to everyone in the chat. Please be sure to hit the thumbs up button to help out the YouTube channel and the algorithm. Share, subscribe, hit the bell icon as well for notifications.